All right, first up is Adriana, Captain of the Guard. It's a commander that gives stuff melee. Honestly, I think that could be fun. I'm going to put this in the could be fun tier. I haven't played much against or with this commander, so I don't know if it would be fun, but melee does seem really powerful, especially with like multiple instances of it, and I like that it incentivizes combat, which I think is a really fun way to play the game. Next is Agris Cost Eternal Soldier. So this card, you can copy abilities that only target it, and then you copy it for each other creature you control, which is, I think that's actually fun. That is a fun commander, no doubt. I'm sure there are degenerate things you can do with it, but being able to spend like a fire breathing on just it and then copy it for all your other creatures, I love that idea. Next is Agris Cost Spirit of Justice. It's a 4-mana 2/4. So whenever it attacks or enters, you suspect a creature, and if it's already suspected, you exile it instead. This could be a fun blink commander. This could also just be a fun combat commander. I'm going to put this in could be fun. I haven't played much with it, but I could see a deck that this is like pretty cool in, but I'm not like going to jump it right into the fun tier. Next is Agris Cost Wojak Veteran. So I think this is a great card to go in a soldier deck. It doesn't have haste and it has 5 mana, which is like a lot for this effect, but as like a role player in a soldier's deck, it's definitely solid. Next is a Shia of Sparks and Smoke. I think I'm saying that right. So it's a 3-mana 4/2. It has prowess, which is great. You can give it first strike. And when it deals combat damage, you can cast a sorcery from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the damage without paying its mana cost. So this is a great like Boros spells deck. It incentivizes hitting in. My issue with commanders like this is commander damage becomes like a threat, which is good. So I like these more in the 99. So I'm going to put this in fun in the 99, but that's my personal preference and my personal bias against commanders that have to deal combat damage. So just keep that in mind. Next is Ajani Nakatl Pariah. So this is the Ajani from Modern Horizons 2. It makes a cat. When the cat dies, you flip him over, and it becomes a planeswalker, which throws your cats, deals damage if you have a red permanent other than it, or can board wipe. This card is an absolute menace in Modern and like other formats. However, I do think it's a fun commander. It's both powerful and fun. I like cats, and I think if you build it as a cat deck, that's probably the way you want to go. It also could be a Super Friends commander. I don't know if I would necessarily do that. I think you want blue in those decks, but there are ways to build it. It's a fun commander. It is a menace in 1v1 though. Next up is Akiri Fearless Voyager, 3-mana 3/3 Core Warrior. So if you attack with more than one or more equipped creatures, you draw a card, and it's 8 players. So if you attack 3 players, you draw 3 cards as long as they all are equipped creatures. And then you can move equipment around by paying a white, and then you tap that creature. So, well, you don't move it around, you unequip it rather for paying 1 white, and you tap the creature, but you give it indestructible. So if you have cheap equipment like a Swifties or Lightning Greaves, you can protect your creatures. I think this is a could be fun equipment commander. It doesn't have anything that makes you want to, it doesn't have any ways of cheating on the cost of the equip, but it does offer protection at instant speed for just 1 white, which is really good, especially with like cheap equipment like Bone Saws or like Greaves. Next up is Akiri Lineslinger. So this is a 2-mana 0/3, has partner, and I'm not going over partner pairs here or partner with pairs, just like the individual cards. So this has First Strike and Vigilance. If you love artifact decks, this gets bigger when you have artifacts. I'm going to put this, where do I want to put this? It's like pretty straightforward, but I'm going to put this in the could be fun tier also. I think depending on who you partner it with, but by itself, I think there are probably ways you can build this, or with like another Boros partner. I do need to look at it like by itself, and I think this commander could be fun even if it's just you playing it. I don't know exactly what you'd want to do with it. First Strike and Vigilance are definitely powerful keywords though. Next up is Alibabu Ancient Witness. This is a 5-mana 4/5 golem. It gives your other artifact creatures haste, and then whenever 1 or more artifacts you control attack, Alibabu deals a bunch of damage, and you scry a bunch where X the number of tapped artifacts you control. Now, notably, it doesn't matter if the artifacts are attacking, just whatever tapped artifacts you have. So you can either swing with this if you give this haste, or a disposable artifact creature. And with the new stations we have from Edge of Eternities or vehicles, you can pretty easily tap a whole bunch of artifacts. And we're in Commander, so there are plenty of ways to tap artifacts without needing like spacecrafts or vehicles. I'm gonna put this, I think, in the fun. This goes in the fun tier for me. It's powerful, it ends games, it incentivizes combat, and you can also do combo stuff, and it scries, which is just solid. Next up is Amy Rose. So this is from the Sonic Secret Lair. It's an equipment commander, and you can target, whenever it attacks, you put an equipment on it. What is interesting though is that another attacking creature gets bigger where X is Amy's power. So you do have to attack with Amy, but you can pump another creature. I'm not a huge fan of Sonic, but I do think this is a fun commander. So again, it incentivizes combat. Even if Amy isn't super big or doesn't have like trample, you can give a big trampling threat like +10/+10 with like a Colossus Hammer. Next, it is Annex and Siamede. I think I'm saying that right. So this is a heroic card, so whenever you cast a spell that targets it, creatures you control get +1/+1 and trample. That's pretty powerful. So you can either pump this, give it protection, however like cheap ways you want, and then you grow your entire board. Now you need your board to have haste, which isn't that hard in red already. So I think this commander could be fun. I haven't seen one in the wild before, but I'm definitely interested in maybe trying to get a deck around it. I like heroic as a mechanic, and I think there's a lot of great support for it. And you could even have like a really powerful storm turn where you're just casting a bunch of spells, targeting this a bunch, and like growing your board. And I love that it gives trample. I wish it gave vigilance, but that's like a different card. So yeah, also probably solid in the 99 of a human, either human or soldier deck. Next up is Amin Pakal, Thousandth Moon. So this is a 3-mana 1/2. Whenever you attack with one or more non-gnomes, you can put a counter on this thing, or you don't have, it's not a may. You put a +1/+1 counter on it, then you make a bunch of 1/1s where the equal to this card's power, or the number of +1/+1 counters rather, sorry. They gave a different card. So you get +1/+1 counters, and then you put more counters on this thing, and you get gnomes. Card's great. I think I'm gonna put this in Wanna Build. This is a commander I've really wanted to like build for a while now. I just haven't gotten around to it. I think it could make a cool Voltron commander, or just an equipment like Go Wide commander that either puts counters on things, like GT is gonna be potentially really good because you can put counters on creatures, or is it Lost GT that does that? One of the GTs. Cards in Wanna Build though. Next up is Annayia Merciles Angel, 5-mana 4/4. So it gets bigger as your opponents get weaker, and in a multiplayer game, that's pretty easy. And it's also for each opponent. So if you have 3 opponents down, it does get +9/+9. And as long as any opponent's life is less than half in their starting, this has indestructible. So you could wait to cast this, right? You don't have to play this on curve. Like you can leave it in the back until an opponent's at less than half their starting life. Then you can slam it, and it's a big indestructible angel. I'm going to put this at the tail end of fun. I think this is a fun commander. I like that you're incentivized to wait to play it. Next up is Arabella Abandoned Doll, or Arabelle. A 2-mana 1/3 toy. It attacks, it deals damage to each opponent, and you gain each X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 2 or less. Notably, it's not base power and toughness, so if you buff your board, it doesn't do anything. However, this has been a card that I really wanted to build around, despite me absolutely hating dolls. It seems incredibly powerful, like a fun aggro deck. I like the restriction of having cheap creatures. I'm sure playing this is probably like an absolute menace, but it's a cool card. So I'm definitely going to put it in Wanna Build. Next up is Arbaz Mur. 2-mana 2/2 is an assassin from the Assassin's Creed set. So whenever it or a non-historic permanent enters the battlefield under your control, it'll deal 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. Card is solid. It's a powerful burn commander. It's a good Boros Legends commander. It's an artifact commander. You could also build sagas if you wanted to. Tons of ways to build this. I'm going to put this in the top end of fun. It's straightforward, but that doesn't mean it's not fun, and it's powerful, which still doesn't mean it's not fun. Sure, that makes sense. Next card. Next is Acri Sharpshooter. So this is one of the Transformer cards where you can play it on its back with living metal. So the backside is whenever you cast a spell that targets 1 or more creatures or vehicles, you can put that many counters on RC. Whenever you cast a spell that targets 1 or more. Okay, so if it targets multiple things, you get multiple counters. And then on the front, you can pay 1 and remove a counter, 1 or more +1/+1 counters, and it deals that much damage to target creature. Seems great with Stuffy Doll, seems great with Brash Taunter effects. This is an interesting commander. I'm going to put this in the... I think I'm going to put this in the fun tier. You could also give it lifelink, right? You have like Shadow Spear and Basilisk Collar and locks it on Warhammer. So you can just remove a bunch of counters from this thing, gain a bunch of life. If you have a card either like Heliod or some other combo piece where you're able to put counters on it whenever you gain life, and if you have infinite mana, you could... Oh, it does convert it though. So you would resolve and then you would convert it, right? So I don't know, you'd have to have infinite counters and infinite mana already on the card in order to do that though. So maybe not. Agatha Soul Cauldron goes hard with this though. Oh, Agatha Soul Cauldron would actually be great with this. All right, next card. Next up is Archangel Aison. So it's a 5-mana 4/4 angel, has flash flying, gives your stuff indestructible when it enters, and whenever a non-angel dies, you flip it, and it becomes Aison the Purifier, which is a 3 mana, 3 damage board wipe to each other creature and each opponent. So ideally, you're playing this, giving all of your creatures indestructible, then immediately flipping it so you don't lose your entire board, and it burns out your opponents. It seems like a cool Boros commander. I think I'm going to put this in fun in the 99 though. I think it's probably better in Angel decks than like leading a deck, which is fine. It's a cool card and like a lot of history here, so I love it. Next up is Ash Party Crasher. It's a 2 mana 2/2. It's a peasant. It has haste. Whenever it attacks, if 2 or more non-land permanents entered under your control this turn, put a counter on it. It's straightforward. I'm not that interested in it. I think this is going to go into the fun in the 99 tier. It's not fun, just not my cup of tea. Next up is Astor, Bearer of Blades. So it's a 4 mana 4/4. You get to look at a bunch of equipment. Equipment are cheaper to equip, and vehicles have crew 1. So that's cool if you want to do like Boros equipment, Boros vehicles, and you also get to look at equipment or vehicles when this enters. Pretty underwhelming as a commander. I definitely think fun in the 99 though. Like I'd be happy to slam this in an equipment or vehicles deck, but I don't know if I'm that interested in this as a standalone commander. Now it could be good with cards like sort of Hearth and Home where you can attack, flicker this, get its ETB again, but I feel like that's a lot of work for a draw spell. So next up is Aurelia, Exemplar of Justice, 4 mana 2/5 Angel, Flying Mentor, and at the beginning of comment on your turn, one creature you can choose up to one target creature you control. That creature gets +2/+0, trample if it's red, vigilance if it's white. Definitely a powerful effect if you have like multicolored creatures or tokens. I love this in either an Angel deck or leading an Angel deck or just leading like a Boros tokens deck. I'm going to put this in the fun tier. I also like Mentor as a mechanic, and I like that it gains vigilance, trample, and also a buff. Like, right, it's multiple things. It's not just vigilance and not just trample. Like, having vigilance is good and not giving things haste is also okay. It is only one creature, but that goes great with one of the cards we just talked about. So yeah. Next up is Aurelia, the Law Above. 5 mana 4/4, flying, vigilance, haste. Great keywords. Whenever a player attacks with 3 or more creatures, you draw a card, including your opponents, not just you. And it doesn't have to be coming at you, it's just 3 creatures. And if a player attacks with 5 or more, Aurelia deals 3 damage to each of your opponents and you gain 3 life. So if you do, I think you get both of these things because they're each separate lines of text, which is great. Powerful, right? 3 damage to each opponent, gaining 3 life. So it's a 12-point life difference essentially, like across the board. And drawing cards in Boros is great. It incentivizes combat. This card is easily going into, honestly, I'm putting this in Wanna build. I think I would love to build a go deck with this. Just kind of force people to attack so you can get a bunch of benefit. And then if you can give this in lifelink, which is pretty easy to do, you can gain even more life. I don't think there's any way to give this infect aside from the grafted exoskeleton, but that is something you could do. I'm not doing it, but something to keep in mind. And the next up is Aurelia, the War Leader. So this is a 6 mana 3/4. Again, flying, vigilance, haste. It's an extra combat commander. This is, I don't know how I feel about extra combat commanders. It is 6 mana in Boros. It doesn't have any protection, but it does have haste and vigilance and flying. So it's just like good keywords. I'm going to put this in fun in the 99. I prefer having extra combats in the deck instead of in the command zone. I think there's just a lot of stigma with that. And I feel like you'd get targeted a lot more if you had this versus another like Boros Angel. Next up is Aya of Alexandria. I'm probably saying that wrong. 4 mana 4/3, menace, lifelink, and whenever historic creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you make a 1/1 assassin with menace. So artifacts, legends, and sagas. We have a whole bunch of new saga creatures in Final Fantasy. Artifact creatures are pretty easy to get in with, and legendary Boros creatures is like fine. Card seems cool. I'm gonna put this in the tail end of fun. I honestly did my Assassin's Creed review, and I don't even remember reading this card, and I don't know where I put it, but it's going in fun now. Next up is Bard, AgarianRecruiter. It's a 2 mana 2/2, beginning of your end step. If you control a creature with power greater than its base power, you make a 1/1. This is a 99 card. You only get 1 token, and it takes a little bit of setup to get it going. You could play this and equip it with like a Bone Saw or something that gives it like 1 to power, and you get a 1/1, but it's on your end step, not each end step, which would obviously be really powerful. And it's not even like tokens that are based on how much your power is increased. So I think overall, this is definitely a 99 card. Next up is Banon, the Returner's Leader. 2 mana 1/3. It's a human cleric rebel. Once during each of your turns, you may cast creature spells from among cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere other than the battlefield this turn. Whenever you attack, you may pay 1 and discard a card if you do draw a card. So you can loot away a creature, cast it from your graveyard. Seems fine. I don't know where I put this in my Final Fantasy fun ranking. I think I'm going to put it in fun, though. I'm going to put it... Do I want to put it like the tail end of fun? Yeah, I'll put it in the tail end of fun for now. It takes a little bit of work, and I don't really know this character. Final Fantasy VI, I believe, was not a game I really played. So I'm assuming it's flavorful, but it's going to go into fun. I like casting stuff from graveyards and discarding cards, especially like the new Monument from Aether Revolt or Aether Drift, and some of the other Aether Drift cards. It's cool. Next up is Bassandra Battle Serif. It's a 5-mana 4/4 flying. Players can't cast spells during combat, including you. And then you go to creature, kind of. It can attack you, which isn't quite good, but you can force a creature to attack. I think this is better in the 99 of an Angel deck. I'm not that interested in playing this as a commander. It's neat, but it doesn't do anything for me that I'm like, sick, I really want to have access to this every game. Next up is Bayek of Siwa. 5-mana 3/4 as an assassin with double strike. As long as it's your turn, other historic creatures you control double strike. So saga creatures, artifact creatures, legends. And it has disguise, so you can play it face down as a 3 as a 2/2 with Ward 2. My brain turned off. And then you can turn it face up for 1 red and a white. I don't know if you have to cast it from your hand. I actually don't know the rule on disguise. So if you can cast it from the command zone face down, which is funny, I guess you could do if you want to. I mean, everyone's going to know what it is. And then you can flip it face up as like a little combat trick, or just flip it up whenever you're getting in for attacks if people don't want to block. I'm going to put this at the tail end of could be fun, with the assumption you can disguise it from the command zone. And if you can't, it's going to be fun in the 99. Next up is Belborca Spectral Sergeant. 4-mana star 5 Spirit Warrior. You note the mana value of each card as it's put into exile. Its power is equal to the greatest number noted this turn. At the beginning of your upkeep, you exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. I said I wasn't going to read all these, but I'm ending up reading all of them. This card is pretty cool. I wish it had some keywords on it, but it is a powerful card advantage engine. So you could play the card. So if it's a land, great. If it's not a land, hopefully you have enough mana to play it. I do like that it's on upkeep and not necessarily at like the end step where you can like hit a land or hit something that you... Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I think upkeep's fine. And it's also every card put into exile, not just during your turn. It is a little bit of a pain to track, because if during your opponent's turn, if a 10 mana card was put into exile, it's a 10/5 for that turn. So I'm going to put this at the tail end of fun. I think the tracking of everything could be a little tedious in paper, so that's why it's going to go at the tail end of fun, but it's a cool effect. Next is Byron Stoutarm. It's a lifelinker that you can fling creatures at. Love this. I think this is a fun commander. I'm sure it's pretty linear and like straightforward, but I think that's okay. And you could also, again, this is a great card that goes with like Agatha's Soul Cauldron, giving all of your creatures the ability to fling if you can get this under it. I guess if it's your commander, though, you really don't want to exile it under Soul Cauldron, so maybe not. I think I mentioned that before. Cool in the 99, though. All right, next card. Renor Battlehammer. This is a Dwarf Warrior that cares about equipment, and you can cheat on an equip cost once each turn. So it is each turn, which means even on your opponent's turns. So I think Sigarda's Aid lets you equip stuff at instant speed, if I'm not mistaken. So you can equip a thing for free on each player's combat. So if you have a sword of X and Y that gives protection, or some other protection spell and someone goes to remove a thing and you have Sigarda's Aid, you can for free instant speed move it around, which is solid. I think this is a fun commander. I like being able to move equipment around, and I like that there are ways you can cheat on the cost, like on other people's turns. And it gets bigger for each equipment attached to it. Next up is Bruce Tarl, Boorish Herder. Great combat card. I love that it gives stuff double strike and lifelink. It is any creature, and it's when it attacks, so if you can copy this effect with some of the other cards we've just talked about, cool. I would play this in an Akira deck, just have this Boros, just absolute beat face deck. Even if our commander doesn't hit, just gaining a whole bunch of life with a double strike vigilance lifelinker. Also, I love that it has Oxes, and there's another Bruce Tarl coming up right now that I also really like. But for this one, I'm going to put this in could be fun depending on who you partner it with. By itself, I think it could be fun. So yeah. Next is Bruce Tarl, Roving Rancher. 4-mana 4/3, it's a human warrior. It cares about Ox, and it does the thing where you play cards from exile and then you get Ox. So that's really cool. Well, you don't play it, right? If it's a land, when you exile the top card, it's an Ox. Otherwise, you may cast until the end of the next turn. There aren't like a ton of Oxen in Boros or in Magic as a whole, but I love the idea of just having this Ox deck that you're playing by like exiling cards from the top. I'm gonna put this in the fun tier. I think flavorfully it's really cool. I do wish it was whenever a card was exiled, not just from its ability, so you could do it a little bit more often. And if you do exile a land, you don't get to play it, which is unfortunate. So yeah, but I think we'll still put it on the fun tier. Next up is Kadrick Soulkindler. So it's a 4-mana 4/3, it's a Dwarf Wizard. Legend rule doesn't apply to your tokens you control. So if you have, I don't know if Kiki Jiki says non-legendary, but those types of effects, like not Mirror Hall Mimic, it's a 6-mana one that a creature enters, flip a coin, make a copy of it. And whenever another non-token legendary permanent enters under your control, you can pay 1, and if you do, make a token copy of it, and then you sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step, and it gains haste. So this is a way to copy legendaries. Your tokens aren't legendary, so you can get like 2 Ajanis, and which is cool. And then you sacrifice it, which then would flip your other Ajani. There are plenty of ways to keep tokens around, especially in Boros, either ending turns. I think it's mostly ending turns. There might be some other cards like for the 99, or if this is in the 99, you could get around and do that with. I'm gonna put this in the fun tier. I think cheating on, not quite cheating, I think getting like additional copies of cards that you shouldn't be allowed to get, like a Tali, I think that's fun. So yeah, we'll put that in the fun tier. Next up is Caparati Sunborn, 4-mana 4/4. So this gives you Discover, which is like Cascade, but you discover 3. You have to attack with it, and you have to tap 2 untapped artifacts or creatures. It's a lot of work, but Discover is fun. I'm gonna probably put this, I think, in the tail end of fun. It's a bit slow, so you probably want to give it haste, but discovering is fun, and you're incentivizing combat, which is great. Next up is Captain Rex Nebula. So this is one of the Unfinity cards. It cares about vehicles, and if vehicles die, you get to deal damage equal to its mana value. It's pretty cool, I guess. I'm gonna put this in the fun tier. Actually, yeah, it does go in the fun tier. I think actually more so up here. You get a dice roll, you get to potentially deal damage. I don't know. I think it's a cool card overall. Next up is Cast Hand of Vengeance. Human Ranger, 4-mana 4/3, Vigilance, if I didn't say that. So whenever it or another creature you control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, you can return the auras from the graveyard to the battlefield attached to another creature. You can another target creature. Same thing for the equipment. Notably, it doesn't say the auras have to go onto a creature you control. And I don't know how auras are worded, if it has to be, if there's like some explicit rules text that I'm missing here. So you could put weird in like auras that hurt your creatures onto one creature, sacrifice it, and then spread them out. I don't know if you want to do that. I think this is a fun equipment and aura commander though, so we'll put it right up there. Next up is Cloud Planet's Champion. This is the Cloud from the starter decks, I believe. Equipment are cheaper to equip to Cloud, and Cloud has double strike and indestructible during your turn if it's equipped. Straightforward, probably fine as a commander. I'm going to put this in fun in the 99. I just don't love Voltron strategies. Again, that's me personally. If you love Voltron, you probably have this higher than me, but I'm going to definitely put this in the fun in the 99 instead of as like a commander. Next up is Commander Lyra Porter. So it's a 5-mana 4/3. It makes spells cheaper from exile whenever you attack players, and then you exile cards for each player you've attacked. This is really cool. I think it's a powerful ability. It works great with also like Foretell. What's the other one? There's like Foretell and there's another one. Oh, I guess for the Warp, right? The new Warp cards, because you're casting them from exile. So there are a ton of ways to get this aside from just impulse drawing, which I love. This is a fun commander. I don't even know if I knew this card existed. I love when I'm like reading commanders I've never seen before for the first time on video, and I'm like, oh, neat. Love it. I'm gonna put it, I think, closer down here on the bottom end of fun because I haven't had any experience with it. So we'll keep that in mind. But yeah, this is a cool ability. Next up is Commander Mustard. It's a Soldiers Matter commander, and it can give your soldiers, whenever it attacks, it deals 1 damage to defending player. Notably, that stacks, so if you have a ton of mana, you can give your soldiers a whole bunch of damage. Honestly, I think this is a fun card. I'm gonna put this in fun because I like building like Kindred decks like that. It is pretty straightforward though, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It is also really great in the 99 of a Soldiers deck. Craig Boone is a cool, like a 3-mana 3/3 with reach and lifelink. Whenever you attack, it doesn't have to do with it with 2 or more creatures. You put 2 quest counters on Craig, and then Craig will deal damage equal to the number of quest counters on its up to 1 target creature, unless that creature's controller has Craig deal that much damage to them. You're probably more often than not going to just kill the creature, especially if this thing gets big enough. So I'm gonna put this in could be fun. No, I think fun. I think this is a fun tier commander actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Is this a wanna build? I just like the idea of quest counters. I'll put it like up here. No, I'll put it up there actually. Next up is Dela Pilot Exemplar. It's a vehicle and dwarf commander. I think we have better options at this point, but this is like one of the first Vehicles Matters cards because this was the first vehicle set. I think this was. Did 8th Revolt come before this? I think this was the first one with vehicles. It's fine. You can play it if you want. I think it's better in the 90. I think it's like more fun in the 99 than as a commander. I think we have better vehicle options at this point. Next up is Desdemona, Freedom's Edge. It gives stuff in your graveyard escape whenever you attack, which is really cool. Notably, it's just artifact creatures that have mana value 3 or less. So it's a little restrictive, but I think it's a really cool ability, and its escape is its mana cost plus exiling 2 other cards. This could be fun. I'm going to put this in the could be fun category. I'm trying to think of how I'd want to build it, and I don't quite know. And I don't know if that effect is just too clunky or leads itself to like too much like degenerate combos, but I'm definitely not opposed to trying this commander out. Next up is Jeru and Hazaret. So it's a 5 mana 4/5 god. If you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, Vigilance Haste, cool. And then when it attacks, you exile cards and you put a legendary creature from among them onto the. You can cast it without paying its mana cost. So you attack, exile cards, exile a legend, cast it for free until end of turn. So I think you still follow timing restrictions on it. Great Legends Matter commander, great in the 99. It's a really fun card. This is easily in the top tier of fun for me. Next up is Duke Older Ravenguard, another Baldur's Gate card. So you can give a creature you control Myriad and haste until end of turn, which I love. Again, this is like a really cool effect, giving either a powerful ETB creature or even like Sad Robot. I don't know if you necessarily want to do that, but you could, right? You can copy your Solemn, make your Solemn have Myriad, get 2 more Summons if there are 3 players, and then you sacrifice them. You exile them, right? So you don't get the card draw, unfortunately, but you do get the ETB. So you probably want cards that leave the battlefields. I'm going to put this as a fun commander. Myriad's a fun mechanic, just overall. And again, it focuses on combat, which I love. Next up is Edgar, Master Machinist. They let you play artifacts from your graveyard. If you do this, artifact enters tapped, and it's only once a turn, and you have to attack to get its second ability. I'm not that high on this card. I don't think I was even in the Final Fantasy set review. I'm going to put this in could be fun. It just doesn't scream out to me like a fun commander, personally. Next up is Evior Battle Ready. This is an Equipment Matters commander, and it doesn't care if equipment are equipped, just that you have equipment in play, and then you deal a whole bunch of damage to your opponents. Love this. This is easily going into wanna build for me. I've been looking for an equipment commander that isn't Voltron, and this might just be it. Next up is Aretha Joe Frontier Mentor. So it copies targeted abilities, and it makes mercenaries. It's a pretty cool card. I'm going to put this in the fun tier. I like copying abilities. I think that it's only a once per turn. Oh no, it's not even once per turn. It's just whenever you do that, you can choose new copies. I thought that'd be limited to like once per turn for some reason. Maybe because it's an uncommon. I think that's a fun commander. Yeah, it's almost in wanna build for me, but I don't think it's quite there. So I'm gonna put it in fun though. Next up is Ezio, Brash Novice. So it attacks, it gets counters. First strike if you have 2 or more counters on it, and it's an assassin. Meh, probably a 99 card, honestly. Not fun, because at least it has abilities, but next up is Feather Radiant Arbiter. So the other Feather that we had before would just copy it. No, you would, what was it? You would cast it and draw a card and like exile it or something, or go into exile, then you'd get it back to your hand the next turn. This is a little bit different, where you copy it for each creature. You do have to pay 2 for each of those creatures though, which is unfortunate. Now, it is a non-creature spell, so if you cast like an aura, you can pay 2 to make copies of auras to other creatures, which is actually insanely powerful. Is this a wanna build for me? I'm gonna put this in wanna build. I think that's a surprise wanna build for me. I didn't even think about copying auras with it, because you just get token copies of those. Also with like bestow creatures, you get multiple copies of the bestow creature. Yeah, that seems sweet. And a 3 mana 4/3 flying lifelink. Great, love it. Next is Feather the Redeemed. Okay, so now I can figure out what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's whenever you cast an instant or sorcery that targets a creature you control, usually it's Feather, you exile it, and then you return it to your hand. Now, obviously, most of the time people are building this with, you're targeting Feather with like Combat Trick and cantrips and protection spells. I'm going to put Feather in could be fun. I think there are other builds of Feather that we're not thinking about that I think could be really cool, that you're not just like cantripping a whole bunch. I don't know what those would be yet, but I think there is something there. I wish it wasn't just instants and sorceries, but I understand why. Next up is Firesong Sunspeaker. So Boros Spellslingers, it gives instants you control lifelink, or a Lightning Helix effects, where it's the one dealing 3 damage. So that's cool. Like if you're playing like red Boros Burn or just like white Control, you have to gain life in order to trigger if it's a white instant. So like Revitalize is sort of like a Lightning Helix, or better than Lightning Helix, I guess. Overall, I think this is a fun commander. Actually, do I? Yeah, I think it's a fun commander. I'm gonna put it in the tail end of fun though. I think it's probably pretty samey, and you probably win with like Aether Flux or obviously like regular burn and stuff, but it is a 6 mana 4/6, and it's been out for a while. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the tail end of fun. That's just purely on vibes. Next up is General Ferrus Rockrick. It's a Boros commander that whenever you cast a multicolored spell, you make a 4/4 golem. It's a red-white golem notably, which is cool. I like this card. You're incentivized to play multicolored cards, which is great. It's a powerful effect, and it's not so powerful that this needs to be removed constantly. I'm gonna put this definitely in the top end of fun here. Next up is Gerard Weatherlight Hero. So this is probably built primarily as a combo commander because you can build what's called eggs with it, where you're sacrificing a bunch of cheap artifacts, then you sacrifice it, and then you return all the artifacts and creatures that were put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn. And because it's not at the end of turn, if you have infinite mana, which there are plenty of ways to do that with an effect like this, you can just kind of combo off immediately. This is probably more fun in the 99. I don't think it's not fun because you could use it as just a protection piece, but that's not how most people are going to use it, I don't think. And I don't know if you could make it that much fun. So I'm going to put it as fun in the 99 instead. Next up is Giat, King of the Dwarves. Dwarves Matter commander and Equipment Matters commander. You get a Rummage, which is discarding then drawing. Double strike. It's cool. It could be fun. I don't see anything wrong with it. I like being able to card select. It's not quite card draw. Is really good with cards like Alhemrith's Archive that can like double up your draws though. Next up is Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight. It's a 7 mana 5/5. It doubles damage that would be dealt to players or permanents. Well, to an opponent anyways, not to you. And then if anything is dealt to you or permanents you control, you have that. It's a powerful protection commander. I don't know if I want this in the command zone. I feel like this is a very expensive Boros commander that I would rather cheat into play through other means than have in the command zone. I'm going to put this as fun in the 99. Next up is Haktos the Unscarred. So this is a hard casting cost. Double red, double white for a 6/1. It has to attack each combat. And when it enters, you choose 2, 3, or 4 at random. And it has protection from each converted mana cost other than the chosen number. So when you first read it, you're like, oh, do you want to like have it multiple copies of it enter for like, or multiple enter triggers? You just want to have it enter one time, choose one of those numbers at random, and then you have protection. Depending on like what's at the table, you can probably try to like keep linking this to get the number you want, but protection from a chosen number is really powerful. And it's other than the chosen number, right? So it's almost like Achilles, I think, or it's like Achilles heels. So it has just one weakness, 2, 3, or 4. I don't know which one is like best. I think it also depends on your deck. This is a fun commander though. I think that when it gets juices flowing of like, how do you want to build it? Do you want just a bunch of like 1s and 5s in your deck? Or is it just you kind of like rolling the dice? It doesn't say roll a dice or anything, which sucks. I wish it did just for sake of other dice rolling cards, but it's a cool card. Next up is Hoffrey Ghostforge. So this is a cool like Boros Aristocrats commander that I've built, and I've had this deck for a while. It came apart, I think like last year. It's very similar to another card, which we'll talk about shortly. It's really cool. If you haven't played Hoffrey, I highly recommend it. I'm going to put them in Wanna Build because I had a sneak attack deck with them that was really powerful, really fun, and also like not that expensive. Sneak attack's so much cheaper now, and there's a lot of those effects out. So definitely something to keep in mind. Next up is Iros, God of Victory. It's a god. It gives stuff menace and kind of fogs damage dealt to your attacking creatures. It's fine. Probably good. Could be fun, I guess. It's fun in the 99. I don't know if I want to play this as a commander personally, but I've loved it in every deck I've slammed it in. Next up is Jenny Generated Anomaly from the Doctor Who set. It deals combat damage, you explore. I don't think it's a Time Lord Soldier, not a Time Lord Doctor, so I don't think you can partner it with Doctor's companions. Again, I wish it wasn't to a player. I wish it was just like combat damage, so you don't have to hit a person to explore with it. I think just because of that, it's going to go into the fun in the 99. Again, that's just a personal thing. However, it is a really cool card. Like, I really enjoy exploring, and the Doctor Who set was like my first fun ranking, and it's like an absolute slam dunk of a set. Next up is Jor Kadeen, First Gold Warden. So it's an Equipment Matters commander, where it gets bigger for each equipped creature you control, and if its power is 4 or greater, draw a card. And it has Trampled. So this is great. You don't have to equip it. You can instead equip tokens, and then just this thing gets big and draws you cards. It's a card. you're in Boros, there are plenty of like artifact ways to like draw other cards. And I like that it doesn't have to deal combat damage and it can be blocked. Because it's not the one having to deal damage and you get its effect and it's a unique build, I'm gonna put this in fun. This is definitely like a fun equipment commander. I've considered building this as equipment too, but maybe I'll end up doing that, and I'll when I revisit this list next year, I'll put in wanna build. Next up is Jorkadeen the Prevailer. It's a 5-mana 5/4, it has first strike, and then Metalcraft, your creatures get bigger, or it's just their power actually, right? It's not even toughness. Probably fine in an artifact deck. I'm gonna put this in could be fun. I haven't ever seen one of these in the wild in Commander, so I'm open to being wrong, and it's actually like a super fun commander. It turns out like Metalcraft is like super great with a bunch of artifact creatures and just being able to swing in with like a bunch of expendable things. I'm open to being wrong about putting it in could be fun. Next up is Joshua Phoenix Dominant, and then on the backside, you can pay 5 mana to tap it and then exile it, and it becomes Phoenix Warden of Fire. It's a great looting commander, and because it exiles itself, you can keep triggering that ETB without having to blink it a whole bunch, and its backside is just pretty good, right? So you deal damage to your opponents. It's a saga creature with flying and lifelink, so you would flip it, gain 6 life twice for each chapter, and then you can return a bunch of creatures, mana value 6 or less from your graveyard, and then you flip him back into Joshua. I don't know where I put this in my Final Fantasy ranking, which is crazy to think about. After playing with this card in Limited and getting some hands-on experience, I think this is a wanna build for me. It's definitely a really interesting, like a potentially interesting commander, and I think it's also just flavorful, and I like the backside being a saga creature. It's just like it's a cool card, right? So I'm gonna put in wanna build. Next up is Kalem, Disciple of Erois. So it's a Giants Matter commander. Double Strike Vigilance are great keywords. It should have Trample in my opinion, but that's okay. It experience counter. My friend Garrett has one of these, a Kalem deck that unfortunately Mana Crypt being banned kind of hurt the deck because it was one of the best accelerants for it because Boros Giants are expensive. This is definitely a fun commander. It can beat your face. It's going to go right into fun for me though. If you want to play Giants or just like big creatures, this is a good commander. You don't have to do Giants, but I think Giants is more fun. Next up is Cassandra Eaglebearer. 3 mana 2/2, so you search for the Spear of Leonidas, put it on the battlefield, and then whenever a creature you control, the legendary equipment attached to it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So it's legendary equipment matters, and it's kind of like Nazan where you get the Hammer of Nazan, instead you get the Spear directly into play. So it's kind of like a partner commander almost. You do definitely want ways to get the Spear back from exile if it's exiled, and I like that it doesn't have to be the one to deal the combat damage, as long as any creature with legendary equipment specifically. I think that's really neat. Is this another wanna build for me? This seems like a really cool like equipment matters commander. I think I'm gonna put it up here. I did Assassin's Creed Fun ranking too, and I'm sure I talked about this card, but looking back at Assassin's Creed, it is a good set. I know people like might not love the set. I think it has some like sleeper hits in it for sure. Next up is Kellen the Fae-Blooded. So you can pay it for its adventure cost of 1 and a white to search an aura or equipment, put into your hand. That's fine. And then you can cast it for its adventure cost for 2 and a red. So it's just an equipment matters commander that is also a tutor, and you can suit this up to give other creatures a buff, which is cute. This is gonna be could be fun. I'm gonna put like the tail end of could be fun. I don't know if I love having a tutor in the command zone for like casual commander. You always gotta see your equipment, which is nice, but I feel like it puts a target on you, and the rest of it just isn't that interesting to me. I guess you could do a bunch of like bone saws and like the cheap equipment and like suit this thing up to have it be like a pseudo lord for your board, but I think they're just better options than this. Next up is Cole the Forge Master. So it's a weird like aristocrats equipment deck where your non-token creatures, if they're equipped, they return to your hand. I have a feeling this is probably can go infinite with a ham sandwich, especially again, I'm saying this a lot, but like cheap equip stuff and 0 mana artifacts. So if you have something like Ornithopter and a Bone Saw, and you play Ornithopter, equip it to Bone Saw, sack it to Ashnod's Altar, you just kind of go infinite. So man, this is another really cool commander. I absolutely missed this. I wasn't playing a lot during Kaldheim. I took like a small break at this point in time. Wow, okay. I love when commanders, again, is this a wanna build for me? It might be a wanna build. I'll have to think about that. I think it's gonna be a wanna build. What a powerful card. Even if you don't do the combo thing, just being able to get your equipped creatures back, right? Like, you can avoid commander attacks as long as you can keep like 1 equipment or 2 equipment on this thing. It's one over another. It doesn't have dodge commander attacks. Ignore that. Enchanted or equipped. I'd rather be equipped because I don't want to lose my enchantments. So Yeah, it's cool. Next up is Colden Triumphant Caster, vehicle commander. Probably fun in the 99. Not really interested in building it as a commander. I don't think I was during my 8th set overview either. Fun in the 99 it goes. Next is Lightning Army of One. So this is probably a hot take. I think this is more fun in the 99 than as a commander. I think its effect is really powerful, like absolutely. However, I think it will get you targeted, and I don't want to play where I'm arch enemy all the time. If you love that, or you want to build an arch enemy deck, hell yes. For me personally though, nah, I'm not about it. So I'm going to put it in Fun the 99. Next up is Mabel, Hero to the Cragflame. So it's a mouse, it buffs your mice, and it makes you a legendary equipment when it enters, which is pretty cool. I don't remember where I put this for my Bloom Burrow. This is what I love doing these, is like not remembering where I put stuff and seeing if my opinion changes. So go check out all my other fun rankings after this one. This is, I think, a fun commander. Well, if maybe you have some PTSD from mice in standard though, and you're like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to deal with any of that, which honestly, like, super fair. It's also like could be a cool changeling or equipment deck. I think it's probably just a good mice commander that you get a cool equipment with it. Next up is Mary Esquire of Rohan. So as long as it's equipped, it has first strike, and whenever you attack with it and another legendary creature, draw. Good in the 99. Not really sure about it as a commander itself. It's not bad as a commander, and I think it could be fun. I'm gonna put in could be fun because I just said that as I was talking. Yeah, it requires a little bit of setup, and it's just drawing one card, and you're putting it in like harm's way. So next up is Mila, Crafty Companion, and then on the back side, you can flip over into Lugo, Wayward Bonder. I'm sorry, it doesn't flip. You cast it for its backside. My apologies. So you have a Planeswalker as on the back, which is cool. Its emblem is not that hard to get. It's only needs 2 additional loyalty. So if you have any ways to proliferate in white, which isn't that hard to do, I don't think, you can pretty easily like play this, get it to 7 loyalty, and then emblem. It's also pretty good in like a Planeswalker deck. Now, notably, Planeswalkers decks don't have a bunch of creatures, but they can make a lot of tokens. And the front side, Mila, Crafty Companion, is also just a powerful card. Like, I hope I have a copy of this. I should probably put this in my Planeswalker deck, actually. This is going to be a fun commander. It is also powerful in the 99, like a lot of the other cards we talked about, but I think this is like a fun standalone commander if you want to build Boros Super Friends. Next up is Moog, Mogul Warrior. So lifelink, each person can discard a card, and if they do, they get a draw, so you can have everyone rummage. And if a creature was discarded, you make a 1/2. If a non-creature, you put a +1/+1 counter on each Mogul you control. This card was in Wanna build, I think, in the Final Fantasy set, and that's still true today. It's definitely like on the Wanna build list, probably the top of it. It's just a cool card. Next up is Moira Brown, Guide Author. So it enters and makes an equipment, and whenever you attack, you put a quest counter on a target non-land permanent. Usually it's going to be this, because it gets stronger for each quest counter among permanents you control. Oh, it's any permanent, not just it. I don't know why I thought it needed the quest counters. Reading is hard. This is cool. I like the quest counter theme in the Fallout set in one of the precons. I think it's neat. I think it's a fun commander. I'm going to put it in like closer to the tail end of fun since it's pretty straightforward. I think more fun than Amy. Yeah, I'll put it like up here, I think. Next up is Munda, Ambush Leader. It cares about allies, which might be relevant in a future set. You don't even get to draw them, you just put them on top. This is fun in the 99 probably. I don't think it's not fun, but it's definitely like a role player in an allies-based deck. Next up is Nahiri, Forged in Fury. So it's a 6-mana 5/4. It does have affinity for equipment, which is really cool. And then you get an impulse whenever you attack with an equipped creature, and you can cast equipment without paying their mana cost. So you do get to play lands, which is great, and you can also cheat out really big equipment like Cauldron Complete, or Lockdown Warhammer is like not super big, but big enough that getting it for free is great. Honestly, any equipment you get off the top is really good. And if you attack with like 5 equipped creatures, you get to exile 5 cards and play them, which is also a nice added benefit. This card is going to go into the fun tier for me. I think like, yeah, with other equipment. Next up is Nelly Borka, Impulsive Accuser. So it's like not quite group hug because you goad people's creatures as long as they're suspected or you suspect them. And then whenever they deal damage, so you and an opponent draw a card. This is a pretty cool commander. I like it with the Bell Borka that we had in the set in MKM. That these are the commander decks for, like they work well together. I'm gonna put this in fun. I like forcing combat, and it's also card draw. And if you hit somebody, you each draw a card. Not the person who got hit. they don't get to draw cards. However, you get to draw cards, and your opponent who hits somebody gets to draw cards. It does take a little bit to set up, though, because you need to suspect it, and then you have to go to all suspected creatures. But you could also make a deal where you suspect a creature and just say, hey, we each need a card, hit this person for a little bit. Next up is Nyla Sun's Vanguard. So it's another equipment commander. I'm sorry, it's a tokens commander. I don't know why I thought it was an equipments commander. It's Boros tokens. It gives your tokens double strike when they attack, and then whenever a token you control attacks a player, you get it exiled the top part of your library. During any turn you attack with a token, you may play that card. So this is way better than your traditional impulse, because even if this commander is removed, you still, as long as you attack with a token, you can still play that card, because it's not contingent on the commander being in play for the card to check if a token was attacked, or you attack with a token. It's like the Kavu from Edge of Eternities. This is a really cool card. It's a lot of card advantage, and it's not cards you just lose like you're hopefully in Boros, so you should be able to make some hasty tokens, even if it's like a 1/1 hasty goblin to like start playing spells. Also great if you can get extra land drops, because you can play it's not cast. This is gonna go on the top end of fun for me. Seems like a solid commander. I think this was the pre-con commander from all of you. Next up is Odric Bloodcursed. 3 mana 3/3. You make a bunch of blood tokens based on the number of abilities listed on the card. So if you want to build a blood deck, you could do that. I like it's a play on Odric's original ability, even though he's now a vampire. You have to have a use for those blood tokens, but there are some really powerful blood matters cards that are in a vampire precon. This could be fun. I'm gonna put this in the could be fun tier. If you care about artifacts and you want a bunch of keywords, it's like a few things you have to do to get this working, but I think there's something there. Next up is Osgir the Reconstructor. 4 mana 4/4, has vigilance, and it cheats artifacts into play, and it's a sacrifice outlet for artifacts if you can pay 1 generic. I think, no, it doesn't quite go infinite with like Ashnod's Altar and stuff. Like you need a little bit more mana, I think. Pretty sure. Maybe you don't, maybe I'm wrong. It's a fine commander. I think there are better artifact commanders now. This was really cool when it came out. I'm gonna put this in fun. It's just like lower on the list, I think, than other ones. Next up is Othori Sun's Glory. Now, this card is an absolute house in Vintage Cube. I love this card. I think it's gonna go into Wanna build for me. I just really enjoy playing it in 1v1, and I think it'd be really fun in Commander. You don't have to deal damage. It's flying, lifelink, and haste. So Mazevith is really good. Experience counters are great. Like, and you get Rebel tokens, and then you can tap it on tap Rebel you control to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's just really cool. And you could also build like a Rebel deck if you really wanted to. I have a deck tech, I think, for this commander featuring Rebels on the channel, I'm pretty sure. All right, next up is Paladin Elizabeth Taggarty. So you can attack with this and 2 other creatures, draw a card, and then you can cheat a creature into play where X is this creature's power. Again, I like that it doesn't have to deal combat damage. If you can take it out of combat after resolving its ability, that is really good. This also seems like a fun card, so I'm gonna definitely put this in. This is fun. This is a fun commander. There are a lot of fun Boros commanders in like recent years. I feel like they've really stepped up their game with Boros. Like, I feel like that's a whole other conversation, but for a while, Boros definitely felt super meh. Next up is Flage Titan of Fire's Fury. If you've played Modern, played Cube, I think he's playing, I don't know if he plays in Vintage or not. If you played Eternal formats, this card's a menace. As a commander, this is the Titan that I think is the most okay as your commander. Uro and Kroxa feel way too powerful. Kroxa's miserable, and Uro's just like generic landfall. I don't know if it's a power thing. I think it's just like play pattern. This is just Lightning Helix, and if I had to build a Titan commander, like one of the giants from the Theros plane, this would be the one I would pick. That being said, I think I'm just gonna put it at the tail end of fun. I don't know how fun like Lightning Helixing somebody every turn is, but it is the one dealing the damage. So again, if you can give it like lifelink, you can gain more life, and it is an attack trigger. Yeah, it's just like if you blink it, you have to sacrifice it. So it's just a little hard to build around, but I think it could be a fun commander. Maybe I'm putting the tail end of could be fun actually. I've talked myself into it. Next up is Panelar Console of Revival, right? That's Revival. 2 mana 2/3, Thopters you control have haste, and whenever you play a land from exile or cast a spell from exile, you make a Thopter. It doesn't put cards into exile for you, which a lot of these commanders that do this thing generally do. So you do have to work a little bit for it. That's not a bad thing though, and I think this is a fun commander. We'll put it right next to Alibabu. They probably actually, Alibabu and this and Pia probably work great together. Next up is Brigandine of Chaos, and then on the back, is Augusta, Dean of Order. These are the Strixhaven Deans. Honestly, I don't have much to say. These aren't like super interesting commanders to me. You can cheat on 3-mana creatures, or 3-mana spells if they're not legendary, which is fine. And then you can like untap and tap your creatures. I'm not sure. This is gonna go into fun in the 99, I think. There's like a lot of text on these cards, but it's so like they're so disjointed that I'd rather like a monocolor deck around one of them instead of a deck around each of them. Next is Queen Kayla Binkrog. So this is a commander that I forgot existed, was going through my binder and saw and was like, ooh, I might need to build this. So it's, you pay 4 mana, tap it, and you wheel. So you discard all your cards in your hand, draw that many cards, and then you choose an artifact or creature with mana value 1, 2, and 3, and you put those cards back onto the battlefield. You can only activate this ability as a sorcery, and you don't need 1, 2, and 3. It's 1 and or 2 and or 3. So if you have a 2 and a 3, it still works. It's great. Untapping this shouldn't be that hard. So if you can maybe get like 2 activations of it in a turn cycle, that's like living the dream. This is like a wanna build for me. I need to go through and find cards I want to put in this deck. Also probably work great with Josh. Next up is Quintorius Field Historian. Spirits matter, and whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, you make a spirit. So I had a Tormod deck that was Golgari, the partner Tormod, that did this, but it made tapped 2/2 zombies. I like that these are untapped spirits and they're 3/2s, which is bigger than 2/2s, but you're in red-white, so you don't have quite as much like one-off graveyard removal as you do, I think, in Golgari. There are artifacts, Ghost Vacuum notably, Unlicensed Limousine, so there are definitely cards to do it, but I miss having like Scavenging Ooze. Although this card could be fun. I'm going to put this, I think actually I'm going to put this in the fun tier. I think this is a fun commander based off of my experience with Tormod. It's just really fun doing this like graveyard, like moving stuff around your graveyard. Because I guess you also don't have to exile it as long as they leave your graveyard. So any like reanimation effects are really good, like repeatable reanimation. And it's 1 or more, so you want to be like selective with like 1 card at a time. And you also have access to Crucible Zurin Orb, so you could easily just get a like sack a land, play a land. If you have additional land drops, you can like make a bunch of spirits. It's cool. I might look into this card actually. Next up is Quintorius Loremaster, 5 mana 3/5. So at the beginning of your end step, you got to exile a non-creature, non-land from your graveyard, and then you can sacrifice a spirit and pay 3 mana to choose a target card exiled with Quintorius specifically, and then you can cast that card without paying its mana cost. If that spell be put into your graveyard, you put it on the bottom of its owner's library instead. I don't know why it's saying bottom of your library, or its owner's library, because you can only exile a card from your graveyard. I don't know why it's worded like that, but I guess to prevent any super niche situations, but fine. I'm getting nitpicky. I think this card's cool. It seems like it's just a really powerful effect, because it's non-creature, non-land. So if you copy like an artifact, like a Portal to Phyrexia, or like a powerful artifact like that, or a powerful enchantment, you do get to cast it without paying its mana cost. And then even if it's removed, though it's not exiled, you just put it on the bottom and get to do it again. Seems powerful. I'm gonna put this in could be fun. I have a feeling there are probably some really degenerate lines with it that you can just kind of almost win on the spot. You do have to do it on your end step, but this effect isn't limited to sorcery speed. So notably, you could get a powerful instant into the graveyard, and if you have the mana, immediately use this effect. So that's something to keep in mind. Next up is Rayus Storm's Edge. 4 mana 3/3, first strike, cares about samurais and warriors. It gives you extra combats if you attack with one of them alone, which is funny. It is only 1 extra combat though, and notably it doesn't have to be it. This is probably fun in the 99. I think I had a friend who played the deck, and it was like cool, but it's not that it wasn't fun to play against. It was just very much, it didn't care about the commander. And if I'm building a commander deck, I want the deck to kind of care about the commander a little bit more. Next up is Reza Boros Archangel. 8 mana 6/3 with a bunch of keywords, Flying Vigilance, Haste, and you can prevent 3 damage to a creature you control and deal it to another creature instead. That's cool, I guess. I'm going to put this in fun in the 99. It's just not that interesting as a commander, unfortunately, especially for 8 mana. Like, it's just way too expensive. Keywords are sick. Art's great, but not interested as a commander. Next up is Rem Carlos Stalwart Slayer. So it stops spells from hurting permanents you control, and if spells deal damage to an opponent's thing, it deals 1 extra. Flying in haste. It's fine. I don't know. I'm not interested in this as a commander. I think this is a 99 card. You could do like Boros Burn with it, since it's an extra 1 damage, and you are preventing all spell damage that would be dealt to you, but it has to be spells, not like abilities. I'll put this in tail end of could be fun. Next up is Rav Master Smith, 2 mana 2/2. Great role player, not building a deck around it. Give stuff double strike when if it attacks when it's equipped or enchanted. That's fine. It's a solid role player though. Definitely like a solid role player. Next up is Rona Assari Commander. So this is one of the few commanders that have to deal combat damage that I actually really like, because you only want to deal combat damage once, so you can put an indestructible counter on it, and then whenever combat is dealt to you, you remove the indestructible counter from Rona. So you have to like attack and then also kind of hold blockers back. You can try moving the counter around like nesting grounds. I'm gonna put this commander in could be fun. It gets the brewing juices flowing where you're like, what can I do with this? And whenever a commander does that, I'm just more intrigued by it. Next up is Sentinel Sarah Lions. So it buffs your creatures whenever an artifact enters under your control, but it's just one buff. It's not like a continuous buff. And then as long as you attack with 2 or more other creatures and this, you can blast someone for a bunch of damage if you have a bunch of artifacts. This could be fun. I'm gonna put this in the could be fun tier. I'm seeing a lot of commanders like this. I like when it's equipment or like a specific card type a little bit more than just like artifacts in general. I feel like that's just a little too easy usually. So I like when you have equipment or some other things. That way you're not just, a bunch of treasures from a smothering tithe and just like blasting somebody. Next up is Sephiroth Fallen Hero, 5 mana 7/5. So it takes your modified creatures and makes them bigger, and it also modifies creatures, and it dodges commander attacks if you sacrifice a modified creature. This is actually like a cool commander. It's not what I think of Sephiroth when I'm thinking of like the one from Standard, but Boros modified can be really powerful. It's almost like a Graz, the Juggernaut that makes all of your creatures into Juggernauts, but it's just modified creatures instead. Yeah, this is gonna go into fun for sure. Next up is Shadowfax, Lord of Horses. If you care about horses, this is definitely the commander for you. And it also cheats creatures into play. They're tapped and attacking, so it's a sneak attack, but you don't sacrifice them, which is great. And notably, this gives itself haste. So while it doesn't have haste itself, it does have haste itself. Shadowfax, it's a fun commander. I think you could build a Lord of the Rings like pile deck with it. I think that could be cool. Or just playing as a sneak attack commander or horses. I don't know. I love this card. Next up is Sophina Spear Sage Deserter. This is one of the Secret Lair Universes Within cards. So it has Friends Forever, so you can have 2 commanders if they have that. But it's a 4/4 for 4 with Menace. And whenever you attack, you investigate once for each non-token attacking creature. Have a bunch of non-tokens, you can investigate a whole bunch. Even as a standalone commander, I love clues. I think they're a really cool, it's a good card draw effect. I think this is a fun commander. I think this is a fun commander even on its own. I think the tail end of fun, but I like commanders that incentivize attacking, and I love clues. I wish clues weren't tied to investigating, which is a whole other discussion, but yeah, cool card. Next up is Tai Wakeen Perfect Shot, 2 mana 2/3 from Outlaws at Thunder Junction. So when I first did Outlaws, I underrated this commander, and then I played with it, and it is going to go into the wanna build tier for me. Now, it is very powerful, to be clear. It is a very powerful commander, but it is also just really cool. Like, I don't know. I love this card. You can do so many crazy things with it. I have a deck tech, I think, for it over on the channel, so definitely check that out. And yeah, definitely, this is a underrated commander for sure. Next up is Sajiques Blade of the Legion. It's fine. I think it's going to go in the 99 of like a soldier deck. I'm not that interested. It's not anything where I'm like, I want to build this as a commander. It's a pretty straightforward effect, unfortunately. Next up is Sajiques Legion's Edge. Now, this is a little bit more interesting because it has Mentor, and it prevents any non-combat damage to other creatures you control, not it. So Blasphemous Act effects don't get you, which is cool. It does get your commander, though. Although, they're preventing the damage. The damage isn't. If they had indestructible, then this died, but it's preventing that damage completely. So, cool. You can give it first strike. Again, I think this is a great role player in a soldier's deck. I don't think this is a super interesting commander. Honestly, I don't know where to put this. I'll put it next to its other one. Next up is the Jolly Balloon Man. This card is an absolute menace. My friend built one from just stuff that they owned at like 2 in the morning and hosed us with it. It is a powerful card. It is a fun card watching it go off. I hate the art, but I love the art. Honestly, I'm going to put this in the top end of fun. The only reason it's not in wanna build is because I can just play my friends. And honestly, yeah, I can play my friends. All right, next card, the War Doctor. 4 mana 3/5. So you want to phase things in and out, which is kind of interesting. You don't see that a lot with cards that like care about phasing one or more permanents specifically. and it's also exile, so it's both phasing out and exiling, which we see a lot more of. And then whenever it attacks, you deal a whole bunch of damage equal to the time counters on this thing. So you could build this as a blink deck because it cares about cards being exiled from anywhere. Suspend. I think this is a fun commander. It kind of rewards you for just doing a thing blink decks want to do, but it gives blink decks that I think oftentimes struggle finishing games a solid finisher. And if you hit a creature, you get to exile it instead, and that means you get to put another counter on this thing. Next up is 3-Dog Galaxy News DJ. So this is a really interesting commander. You suit it up and then you attack. Oh, I guess you don't have to attack with it, but you suit this up, you attack, and you pay 2 in second aura that's attached to 3-Dog, and then you put it on each other attacking creature you control. So if you have a bunch of tokens, you can put them on a bunch of tokens. This is just a really cool card. I'm tempted to put it in Wanna Build, but I'm not as attached to Fallout as other sets, and I already have a lot of commanders in Wanna Build up here. So I'm gonna put this in the top end of fun though. Next up is Theoden, King of Rohan. 3 mana, 2/3. Whenever it or another human enters the battlefield, target creature gains double strike. Great in the 99 of a human's deck. I've been hosed by this thing plenty of times. I don't want it as a commander necessarily, so it's gonna go into fun of the night. Next up is Tiana, Ship's Caretaker. 5 mana, 3/3, Angel Artificer. It's a cool auras and equipment commander, because whenever you lose your auras, they get to go back into your hand at the end step. Same thing with any equipment. So I like that. That kind of gives protection against the big thing that, or specifically aura decks are weak to. It's probably better in the 99, but I could see this being a fun commander, so I'll put it in the fun tier. I guess you could also blink creatures to just put auras into the graveyard so you get them back as a way to kind of reset your auras. Next up is Tori the Evente Fury Rider. The Advent. Sure. 4 mana, 3/3. Vigilance and Trample. It's great. So whenever you attack with it, it pumps your board. Other red creatures get Trample, and then other white creatures untap. So it's pseudo vigilance. It's not actually the keyword vigilance because that wouldn't work how you want. I think this commander is probably fun in the 99 of a Knights deck. It's a lot of mana. It's 4 mana for this effect, and it's double red, which I don't think is a huge issue. But I think it's a better role player than a commander. If you're building a General Ferris Rockrick deck, I would love to play this in the 99 of that deck, because then all of my golems get vigilance and trample and get +1/+1, so they're 5/5 vigilance tramples. That's pretty sick. Next up is Velomachus Lorehold. So it's a 7 mana 5/5 with flying, haste, and vigilance. At least it has haste, because it's an attack trigger that you can cast instants and sorceries, and instant or sorcery with mana value less than or equal to Velomachus's power from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom. So you cheat instants and sorceries with this thing. I'm glad it has haste, because if this didn't have haste, I think it would be pretty unplayable as a commander. It's still 7 mana. You're prone to get this thing removed at least once or twice, and it'll be pretty hard to recast it. But even with that, I'm gonna put this in the fun tier. I like cheating on spells, even if the commander gets removed. I don't know. I think it's cool flavor, and the haste helps it out too. The haste really helps it. Next up is Vikia, Scorching Stalwart. It's a 3 mana 2/4, has training, so whenever this creature attacks another creature with greater power, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, so it keeps growing as you attack with bigger creatures. So this is an untap effect, which is really cool. You do have to discard a card, and it's almost like a fling, because you discard a card and then it deals damage equal to its power to any target, and then if it's excess damage, you draw a card. So as this grows, you can draw cards and remove creatures, and because it's an untap, you kind of have vigilance in a roundabout way. So ways to reduce activated abilities is really good with this. Agatha's Soul Cauldron in the 99 is really good with this. If you have this and Soul Cauldron both in the 99, having a way to untap your creatures is really cool. I think this is a fun commander, frankly. I'm gonna put it here. Yeah, I think it's, honestly, I think the effect is unique enough. I'm gonna put it in the top up here. Put it right up there. Next up is Winona, Joiner of Forces. This is a notoriously powerful commander. You might look at it and you're like, oh, this is so cool. It's humans and non-humans. This is gonna be a good fun commander for me. I think people generally build this, from what I've seen, as stacks or combo. If you were to just build a human, non-human pile deck with it, I think it'd be way more interesting than just a CEDH or super powerful combo deck. If you're into that, go for it. Not what I enjoy doing personally. I will play against it, of course, but yeah, Winona is fun. Next up is Wireless Soul of Steel. 3 mana 2/2. If it's equipped, you draw a card for each equipment or aura attached to it, which is great. Has trample. I had this commander for a while. It is definitely fun. drawing cards in Boros is great, and you can draw so many cards with this thing, even if you don't deal combat damage, so I'm going to definitely put this in the fun tier. Next up is Zabaz the Glimmer Wasp. It's a 1 mana 0/1, has modular, and it cares about modular creatures, and you can destroy an artifact you control, so it's a way to, if your artifacts have modular, you can pay 1 to just move the counters over, and then you can pay a white to give this thing flying since it doesn't have flying naturally. This is a could be fun commander. I would have to look at how many modular creatures we have now in Magic, and I don't know offhand, but I love the idea. I've loved the idea of this card, and if we have enough actual modular creatures, I think this is great. Because notably so if you move, I can't speak. So if a card with modular enters, I think you put an additional counter on it, and then when it dies and you're moving the counters over, I think you then put another counter on it. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, so definitely let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. Next up is Zidane Tantalus Thief. You get to steal a card, steal a creature, untap it, lifelink haste is great. You get a treasure whenever an opponent gains control of a permanent from you. So you could make like a gifts deck. You could make just a temporary theft deck where you're just stealing cards and making treasures. I don't know if that's going to do it for me. I'm going to put this in the tail end of could be fun. Not quite the tail end. There might be some way to do this repeatedly that you can get a bunch of treasures. And that I think I'm more into. But like just by itself, eh. Next is Zerda the Dawnwaker, 3 mana 3/3. It has companion, so if each permanent in your starting deck has an activated ability, thankfully most lands have activated abilities. Cards like Urborg and Yavimaya Cradle of Growth do not, notably. And then activated abilities that aren't mana abilities cost 2 less. It can't reduce that effect less than 1, and target creature can't block this turn for 1 and tap it. So I like that it has an activated ability also, even though it's kind of like meh. As a companion, I think it's cool, and even as a commander, I think this could be interesting. I'm gonna put this in the could be fun. I wish I had like a fun as a companion tier, but there aren't, enough companions in each color for that. I definitely think this is probably more fun as a companion because the deck building restriction. Personally, I like that more, but to each their own. Next up is Aramir, King of Rohan. It's 5 mana 2/2. Whenever it enters, you put a +1/+1 counter for each other human, and then when it enters, target player becomes the monarch, and then it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So if this is really good, like if you can blink it, because you can keep growing your humans. I was looking at Spider-Man spoilers earlier. You can grow your humans, have someone become the monarch, probably you, and then you just get to dome them for a whole bunch, or anyone, right? So it goes hard with Stuffy Doll and Breath Taunter. Great human commander. I'm gonna put this in the fun tier. I love introducing the monarch. It is a really powerful blink finisher, which I love. I don't know where to put this. I think I'll put it up there. And then finally, we have Eowyn, Fearless Knight. 4 mana 3/4. It's another human. When it enters, you can exile a creature, and then with greater power, and then legendary creatures you control gain protection from each of that creature's colors until end of turn. So you don't get permanent protection, but if you need to like finish somebody off, and you can like remove their commander, so presumably you'll have protection from pretty much everything on their board, and then you just kind of turn stuff sideways. I think this is fun in the 99, not so much as a commander itself. So we'll put that, we'll put that like towards the tail end, or like in the middle of fun in the 99. I think it's a really cool card. Maybe I'm gonna put it closer to the top.